She smirked and said, "You're cute when you're jealous." But I simply replied, "Thanks." Then I played the long game, exposed her affair in front of everyone she loved, and walked away while she begged me to stay. I 31M. Never thought I would be the kind of person who planned revenge. But there I was, standing in the hallway of our apartment on a Tuesday afternoon at around 2 p.m., watching my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend slip out of our front door like some guilty teenager trying not to get caught. The groceries I was carrying suddenly felt heavy in my hands, and my chest felt tight as I realized what I was seeing with my own eyes. The worst part was not just catching him there. The worst part was what happened next. My girlfriend appeared in the doorway right after him, wearing nothing but my old college t-shirt, her hair messy in a way that left no doubt about what she had been doing. She looked at me standing there with my mouth slightly open, holding groceries I had bought to surprise her with lunch. But instead of looking guilty or embarrassed, she looked almost amused. I managed to ask her what he was doing there, though my voice was shaking and my chest was burning with anger. She just shrugged and said they had been talking about old times. I pointed out that talking did not usually require being half naked, and that was when she laughed. She laughed right in my face and said the words that burned themselves into my memory. "You're cute when you're jealous." For a moment I could not believe what I had heard. 3 years together, 3 years of building a relationship that I thought was real, 3 years of planning a future that meant nothing to her, and all she could do was laugh at me. I looked at her smug face and simply replied, "Thanks." That one word seemed to catch her off guard. She had expected yelling, screaming, maybe even tears. She thought I would lose control, but instead I stayed calm. I walked right past her into the kitchen, put away the groceries I had bought, and started making myself a sandwich like nothing had happened. She followed me, looking nervous now, and asked if I was okay. I told her I was fine and even asked if she wanted lunch. The confusion on her face was almost worth the pain that was tearing through my chest. Almost. Over the next few days, I continued to act calm and normal. I did not explode. I did not confront her. I did not even mention her ex again. Instead, I waited. She kept looking at me like she was expecting me to break at any moment, but I did not give her that satisfaction. If she thought jealous me was cute, then she was about to find out how cute I could be when I was calm, quiet, and planning. The first step was information. I worked in technology, so I knew how to dig into digital footprints. She was never careful with her devices, and her laptop password was our anniversary date, which felt like a cruel joke given the situation. Once I was inside, I found text conversations between her and her ex going back for months. These weren't just friendly catch UPS. These were emotional affairs, talking about how much they missed each other, making plans to meet whenever I was out of town. Then I opened her email. That was where I found the real pain. She had been complaining about me to her friends for months, calling me boring, predictable, even making jokes that I was sexually inadequate. She bragged about how easy it was to hide things from me because I was too trusting to ever suspect anything. Reading those words was like being hit again and again, but at the same time it made something clear inside me. She wanted to play games, and if that was the case, then I would show her exactly how dangerous games could be. I knew that if I reacted with anger or sadness, she would use it against me, twist it into a story where she was the victim, and I was the overly emotional partner who couldn't handle reality. But if I stayed calm, if I played the long game, I could turn everything around. So, I decided to move slowly and carefully, making sure every step I took would lead to something bigger. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to show her exactly how cute I could be. The first real step was creating a fake identity online. I spent hours searching for the right photos of a model who looked real enough to be believable but not so perfect that he would raise suspicion. I built a fake social media profile around him, giving him a personality that was charming, successful, and recently moved to our city. It took time, but within a week I had begun following some of my girlfriend's friends. I knew from reading her messages that these were the same friends who encouraged her behavior, called me names behind my back, and helped her cover her tracks. Soon enough, I struck up conversations with 3 of them using my fake identity. They had no idea they were flirting with their friend's boyfriend, the very man they had mocked for being clueless. I watched with a mixture of anger and satisfaction as they fell for the persona I had created, sending flirty messages and even hinting at meeting up. It was proof that her entire friend group was just as toxic as she was, and I planned to use that against them. But I didn't stop there. I knew that her ex had a girlfriend of his own. That made things even more disgusting, because not only was he sneaking around with my girlfriend, but he was also cheating on someone else. I created another account and reached out to his girlfriend. At first, I didn't reveal who I was. I simply claimed to be someone who thought she should know what her boyfriend was doing. I sent her carefully taken photos of him entering and leaving our apartment at different times. The evidence was undeniable. Her reaction was explosive. Within 48 hours, his life was falling apart. His car was keyed, his apartment building was vandalized with insults about his character, and his workplace began receiving anonymous complaints about his conduct. Clearly, his girlfriend had decided to take matters into her own hands, and I couldn't help but feel a grim sense of satisfaction. One small piece of the puzzle had already fallen into place, and my girlfriend still believed everything was normal. At home, I continued playing my role perfectly. I cooked her favorite meals, brought her flowers, and even acted affectionate. Whenever she tried to bring up the day I had seen her ex, I just smiled and told her that I trusted her. She even sent texts to her friends saying how forgiving and naive I was, how she had dodged a bullet by not having to face a confrontation. That was exactly what I wanted her to believe. Then came phase 2. I looked through our shared credit card statements and found that she had been using the card to pay for hotel rooms during her lunch breaks. Hundreds of dollars over several months had gone to these secret meetings, and somehow I had overlooked them in our budget reviews. This time, I documented everything. I collected receipts, screenshots, photos, and messages, building a file of her betrayal that was impossible to deny. But I didn't want just documentation. I wanted to make her feel the same humiliation I felt standing in that hallway with groceries in my hands. That was when I came up with the idea of using her own friends against her. The fake profile I had created became interested in one of her closest friends, a redhead who had been the most vocal about encouraging her affair. I spent days talking to her online, building up a fake connection, until she finally agreed to meet my fake identity in person at a coffee shop. What she didn't know was that instead of meeting the handsome stranger from the internet, she would be meeting me. When she walked in, the look on her face said everything. She was shocked, confused, and then afraid as I calmly explained who I was. I showed her screenshots of her own messages encouraging my girlfriend to cheat, even mocking me behind my back. I told her that I had similar screenshots from other friends and that I could easily share them with their boyfriends and families. Unless, of course, she did exactly what I asked. What I asked was simple. She had to host a party. A big party. Everyone from their circle had to be invited, including my girlfriend and her ex. At first, she refused, but then I showed her even more damaging messages, including ones where she mocked her own boyfriend's performance and financial situation. Her face turned pale and finally, she agreed. The party was set for the following Saturday. My girlfriend was excited when she heard about the party. She told me how nice it would be to see everyone together again. Then she casually suggested that maybe I should skip the party if I felt uncomfortable being around her ex, which was confirmation enough that she knew he would be there. I smiled and told her that I wouldn't miss it for the world. When Saturday came, I felt a calmness inside me that I hadn't felt in weeks. The party was already loud and busy when we arrived. The redhead had done exactly what I asked. All the key people were there. My girlfriend's ex showed up with a new girl, since his previous girlfriend had broken up with him after his reputation fell apart. I knew this was going to be a night no one would forget. About an hour into the party, I excused myself and pretended I needed the bathroom. Instead, I connected to the host's Wi-Fi and uploaded a carefully prepared presentation onto the smart TV in the living room. When I returned, my heart was pounding, but I kept my face calm, smiling as if nothing was about to happen. At exactly 9 o'clock, the redhead spoke up, saying she had something fun to show everyone. She turned on the TV, pretending she had found old funny photos. But what appeared on the screen was my masterpiece. The room went silent as the first slide appeared, a detailed timeline of my girlfriend's affair. Screenshots of text messages, hotel receipts from our shared credit card, photos I had taken of her ex leaving our apartment. The silence was broken only by a sharp gasp from my girlfriend, who stared at the screen in horror. But that was only the beginning. When the truth finally came out, it was not in the way she expected. I had planned everything with patience, and I waited for the right moment to let it all unfold. The right moment arrived at a small family gathering she had invited me to. She wanted to show me off to her relatives, pretending to them that our relationship was strong and perfect, when in reality it was hanging by a thread. As we sat around the table, she tried to act sweet, touching my arm and smiling at me as if nothing had happened. I could feel my anger rising, but I kept my expression calm, almost cold. That was when I pulled out my phone, connected it to the living room TV, and opened the folder of screenshots and pictures I had collected. In an instant, the room went silent. Her family watched as the images of her texts and late-night messages to another man appeared on the screen. Every word she had typed, every flirty joke, every plan to meet up behind my back was laid out for everyone to see. She went pale. Her smile disappeared completely, and she tried to snatch the remote out of my hand, but it was too late. Her own mother covered her mouth in shock. Her father shook his head in disappointment. Her cousins whispered among themselves, staring at her as if they were seeing a stranger for the first time. The whole room knew what she had done, and there was no way for her to deny it now. She looked at me with wide eyes, whispering my name like a plea. She reached out her hand and said, "Please, don't do this here. We can talk later, just you and me." But I shook my head slowly and replied, "No, we already talked. You laughed in my face and said I was cute when I was jealous. This isn't about me anymore. This is about you finally facing the truth." The weight of my words hung in the air. She tried to defend herself, saying it was just a mistake, that it didn't mean anything, that she still loved me. But the more she spoke, the more the people around her looked at her with disbelief. She had no way out. I stood up from the table, picked up my jacket, and said clearly, "I am done. You can keep your lies, you can keep your excuses, but you will never again keep me." I walked out of the house without looking back. Later that night, my phone buzzed non-stop with messages from her. She begged me to forgive her, saying she was sorry, saying she would change, saying that she couldn't live without me. But I didn't reply. I let the silence speak for me. Days turned into weeks, and slowly she realized that I meant what I said. There was no coming back. She had thrown away something real, and what she got in return was a life filled with regret and shame. Meanwhile, I built myself back up, stronger than before, knowing that I had finally freed myself from someone who never deserved my heart in the first place. And that was the moment I truly learned. Sometimes the best revenge is not yelling or fighting or trying to make someone feel your pain. Sometimes the best revenge is walking away with your head high, leaving them to drown in the mess they created, while you walk into a future they will never be a part of again.